my wife will tell you I don't communicate great. Kevin and Book didn't tell me we were wearing cowboy hats. So I thought we were guys, I thought we were close and boys. So no, I've been kind of out the last 10 to 14 days, and we met at the airport yesterday, and they had their cowboy hats. I'm like, dang, I almost ran home and got it. But yeah, so I let them have their fun. They look good. They look good in them, though.
Coach, to stay on the fashion line, I understand that you have quite the shirt on underneath the,
the
button up and
well, I just got rewired, but I mean, I can.
We're gonna make you show it, man. It's worth it.
They didn't give me a phone booth. My wife doesn't think I'm Superman, but we're working on it.
And what does that say, Coach?
It says Jennings for Heisman, King of Dallas. So K7. So yeah.
Coach, you started your career as a player, as a walk-on. How do you take that mentality and mindset into building a program like SMU?
Good question. I don't know how much I at least actively think about that, but I'm sure there's some intangible background to that. I think when you're building a program, it's fun to build things. It's fun to do things that either haven't been done before, people don't think can be done, or are really hard to do, right? And so that's probably no different than earning a spot on the team or working your way up. And so just taking it like, I don't look at things for what they aren't, I look at it for what they are. And so, for instance, you get to SMU, it's real easy to go, well, you're not in a power conference. You haven't won a championship in 40 years. The stadium, you don't have a facility. Nobody's coming to the games, blah, 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 blah. That's kind of what you hear. Instead of like, well, it's more like, well, how do we change that, right? And what do we have? Well, we have Dallas. We have great players around here. We have a great support and alumni base. We started winning. Well, then it's like, man, how fun would it be to do this? And I remember getting hired, and they're telling me, hey, we're going to build this facility. We're trying to get in a power conference, which is great. And I remember thinking, man, how cool would it be to like win a conference championship, get in a power league? Like those are like long-term goals. Well, after 2 years, we have a facility. Stadium's full every year. We've broken the attendance records the last 2 years. We're in a power conference, And so all those things, if you look at them for what you don't have, they're never going to change. If you start figuring out how can we improve it, or what are our strengths. And so, as a walk-on or someone that maybe isn't, I guess, the obvious choice for certain things, it's just about trying to prove people wrong. And not to prove them wrong because they have a problem, and not because it's about you. It's just, I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy the challenge of those kind of things.
Coach, do you think the ACC has the deepest coaching lineup in the country?
Man, we got some great coaches. I mean, day one, the whole group that was here, I'm not going to list them because I'll forget somebody, but they're fantastic. And then yesterday, and then the guys I'm here with today, sitting in a room this morning with them, and the commissioner, like we have a great group of coaches that are fantastic coaches. They're great competitors. They win. And that's why it's kind of like us with Kevin and the Heisman deal. People are like, why are you doing it? Well, one, he's earned it. He deserves it. He's a player. Now, we got to go win, and he's got to play well. If we don't, it's not going to matter. But if we do, I'm not going to look back week 7 and go, well, we didn't push him enough. And because, just like the preseason poll, that stuff does matter a little bit. Like, I'm not going to look back and go, well, we should have pushed him, and now look here. We kind of got to tell our story. And we got to tell his story. We're not bragging. We're just telling our story. It's no different than the ACC. There's fantastic leagues. It shouldn't be about which league is better. But all we do is get told that we're this or that, yet the performance tells you otherwise. So we just want to be measured like everyone else on the performance of this year. Last year, we arguably had as good a year as we've had in a long time, yet we only got one team in, and that shouldn't happen. So I guess, I think it's a deep league. I think it's deep coaches. It only matters what happens this year. And that's all should matter for our league. And if we don't get it done, great. But the other leagues as well. It shouldn't matter what's happened in the past. And but I think we got a group of coaches that all understand, and a league now that we understand it's about winning. We have to win. And we have to win in big moments. And if we do that, it'll take care of itself. And I think we got a lot of guys that, unfortunately, it's a challenge for us to go against internally.
Do you think Kevin gets the respect he deserves, and what does he have to do to take the next step, you think?
I think Kevin gets the respect he deserves. I think the reality of it is, no very different than he wasn't highly recruited. There are just people are going to have their lists in the offseason, and they just go to the biggest brands or the names, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of those brands have earned it. And that's why we wanted to put out the stats. Like, well, if he's top 5 in literally every category for returning P4 quarterbacks, that should matter. Like, there's a lot of guys on the list that haven't done anything close to that. If he's pretty much 1 or 2 in every list in the ACC, that should matter, right? And so a lot of guys get put on lists or hyped on potential. This guy can do it on substance, and he's proven it. And so it's not as much that I don't think he gets respect. I think when we talk about him, he gets respect. I think it's just, again, we got to tell our story. We got to remind people that, hey, SMU, we've only been in the ACC 2 years. It's real easy to, again, think about 5-10 years ago. This is a new SMU. This is a new day. Kevin Jennings is a big part of that. And honestly, that should matter more than some guy going to a school that's been there for the last decade and just kind of being the next guy. And so that's really it. It's not about respect. It's about telling the story, giving him an opportunity for, like I said, if we do the things we're supposed to do and win, that he is in a position to be recognized like I think he deserves.
For being around him day in and day out, what do you point to kind of explain how he's developed into a player worthy of being?
Yeah, I mean, he's always had the talent. He's always had the internal belief. I said on the set just a minute ago, I mean, Kevin's always been incredibly humble. His mom, Sherry, his dad, Michael, they did a fantastic job raising him. His high school coach, Jason Todd, came from a program that had never won anything. There hadn't been a Dallas Independent School District school win a state title in over 60 years. And all he does by his senior year is win a state title, right, and come to SMU. So he's used to kind of being overlooked and accomplishing things. But he's always had a great humility. He had a great answer in there. And they said, how do you basically, with all this now, stay grounded? Well, he's like, I don't forget where I came from. And that's real. Like, Kevin doesn't say, he's genuine. He doesn't say things he doesn't mean. But what I've seen him grow on is his confidence. And you got to accomplish confidence. I think back to his true freshman year when Tanner Mordecai's our starter and Preston Stone's our backup, and he's our third guy as a true freshman. And I think we're playing at Tulsa, and Tanner's out with a concussion, didn't play. Preston gets the start, and we're winning midway through the second quarter. Preston breaks his collarbone. Kevin Jennings comes in, and all he does is throw a go ball for a completion like one of his first plays, and plays the whole game. We win. Tanner comes back. Last game of the year at home against Memphis, misty rain. Preston's out for the year. Tanner gets knocked out. Kevin jumps in on our own 10-yard line, 3rd and 10, first play, go ball to Rasheed Rice to midfield. He got in those moments early and accomplished some confidence, which was big for him and his teammates. And I think that's just grown over time to where then the next year, first start, ACC American title game, goes in, wins. First year in the ACC. And so I just think his confidence has grown, but the unique thing is his humility hadn't changed. So he has a great blend of he's supremely confident in himself. His teammates know that. Yet he doesn't consider himself better than anybody. He loves his teammates, and they feel that. I think that's a unique power he has.
And Coach, how have you helped keep him grounded? Because with everyone giving him deservedly accolades, but I know it's a lot, and for someone who is humble, that's a lot. How do you help keep him humble, grounded?
Yeah. Just be real. You have a relationship with him. Since we have a good relationship, and a guy like De'Aaron King does a fantastic job, because De'Aaron's been in his shoes, right? De'Aaron's been on the stage. He's been one of those guys. So he knows the good, the bad. He probably learned some things he can pass down. So he's got a good group of support around him, aside from that just being who he is. And I think remind him things my dad taught me, hey, if you're any good, people are going to talk about you. You don't got to tell them. And I'm still answering the question. Yeah. But I think those are some things, and I think let's not give him too much praise now. He still thinks LeBron's the best player of all time, so I constantly have to let him know who Michael Jordan is. So he's got plenty of room for improvement. Yes, sir.
Sorry. Week 1, Labor Day, you get Florida State. They get a week 0 matchup.
Yeah.
You guys have played the week 0 thing before. I remember at Reno. Right?
Yeah. Didn't go well, but we won.
Do you prefer? Is there an edge to getting the week 0 game?
Yeah. So full transparency, once we knew we were going to play that game, we appealed with UC Davis to play the game week 0, and the Football Oversight Committee shot it down. It makes no sense to me. They're great people. We thought it was going to pass. It had the support of our conference. It had the support of us. Had the support of UC Davis. Would have made them more money. Would have been better for them in their league. Clearly would have created a competitive balance in our game. And for whatever reason, they chose not to grant it. And but that's okay. So on one hand, you'd like to play at the same time. Now it's, who knows, they're going to get to play a game before us, so they'll have an advantage from going into week 2. They've already played a game. A lot of times that's good. But they won't have seen us play. We'll have seen them play. So probably all washes out. I think the real challenge for us, and the reason we wanted to play week 0, was now we're going to play Monday night in Tallahassee. Game will end at, we'll be getting on an airplane at 1 a.m. local time. We'll be getting back into Dallas when the sun comes up on Tuesday morning. The kids do go to school. And we have a game against UC Davis Saturday in like 90 hours. And they were in the quarterfinals last year. So that's the strain that if we'd have played week 0, like Florida State's going to play week 0, play us, then they get an off week instead of a short week. And that's really why we felt like it made sense, but it didn't. But in terms of the game, the team that plays the best is going to win the game. And we're going to have to handle a hostile road environment. And we're going to have to make sure that, we don't take too long to get going in the first game of the season. And a lot of times game ones are a lot of growing pains. And we got to be playing midseason format.
Dabo Swinney said that he talked with you about Chris Johnson Jr. Whenever he was in the portal. Tell me about those conversations. I guess why you were willing to, put in a call with the guy that was leaving your program and get him to another school.
Yeah, well, one, Dabo and I have a really good relationship. Yep. I respect him a ton. I think Chris, we care about young men. I think Chris is awesome. We love Chris. Chris did a good job for us last year. He's banged up a lot, but when he was healthy, you saw flashes of what he can do. I think Clemson saw flashes of what he can do. And Chris wanted to stay, but in this world where you've got representatives and all these other things, we tried for a month and, we couldn't come to an agreement on what it should be. And so when we kind of wished Chris his best and let him move on, we still want the best for him. He's a great young man. Know his dad. He came to SMU and did a good job for us. And so when Dabo called, I told him, truly, he's a great kid. Definitely help you win. Here was our experience. And we're going to help young men, and I hope he has a great year. Thank you.
For you guys to go from a winning season like we had last year to winning the ACC title this year, perhaps, where does that degree of improvement have come from?
Good question. We got a long way to go to even get in contention. I think we've done a lot of good things over the last 2 years. We weren't as good last year as we wanted to be. We knew that going in, and so in some ways we lost 4 games in the last few minutes of the game that could have gone either way. 3 of them literally on the last play of the game. So you could argue that as a negative. You could also say we may have won some games that maybe weren't expected to. I think probably in the end we probably got out of the team what we had, and we could have overachieved, and we didn't do it. We have a much more mature, experienced group returning this year. We got to go do it. I think this team kind of relates more to the team 2 years ago in terms of the intangibles, the depth, the maturity. But we got to play well everywhere, right? And we got to play well early in the season. We're going on the road. 2 out of our first 3 games. We got a short week at home. We got to play well early to allow ourselves to stay in contention. Practically, offensively, we need to run the football better like we did 2 years ago. Last year, it wasn't as consistent as we like. That'll take pressure off Kevin and make us a better offense. Defensively, we got to be better against the pass. We had been good against the pass. Last year, we were terrible. There's a lot of reasons for that. I think we've done some things that'll help us there. And then we got to be better in the kicking game. You could argue if we were better in the kicking game, we 11-1, 12-0 last year. So that's 3 practical areas that we can get better without getting worse in other areas.
Hey, Coach, what's it like to be a head coach in the ACC as you enter your 3rd season here in the conference?
What's it like to be a head coach in the ACC? It's humbling. I feel excited to get to do it and to be a part of it. At the same time, it's a challenge. We just had the question about all the coaches in the league. The guys that we go against are the best of the best. The competition, top to bottom, is best of the best. And so it's exciting to get to compete with such a great group.
Coach, I had the opportunity to talk to Casey Woods a couple weeks ago. He spoke glowingly about you and the program. Is it validating for what the program is building to see assistants go on and get head jobs elsewhere?
It is. I've always felt like, man, you don't want to lose good people. We do everything we can to retain them or to not make them want to leave. But at some point for growth, I had to leave places. It's just part of it. And so you want, if and when people leave, you want to be leaving for great opportunities and better things for their future. I look at Johnny Brewer going to Duke 2 years ago. Scott Simon's going to the Cowboys. Casey Woods getting a head job. Those were all great reasons to leave. And Casey deserves a ton of credit for the success we've had over the last 4 years. So he's going to do great. He and I, our families hung out together over the 4th of July. We're really close. My wife and his wife and I all went to college together, all our kids. And so we hung out and then realized, well, the next time we see each other is going to be at midfield in September. And we're not really excited about that, but he's fantastic.
Coach,
We'll go this way.
Okay, Coach. I kind of inspected your roster. I always look for that number 22.
Yeah.
I didn't see one.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's someone that you have in mind right now to wear that number, or is it up for grabs?
He's talking about the Jerry Levias 23 number. That's the best honor you can get at SMU. We don't do that until next week. We
Okay.
do that at the end of our summer program. So we go through the entire offseason, the entire spring, the entire summer, and then right before we give the guys a few days off to come back for fall camp, the players vote on that. So it's not me making that selection. So really next Thursday is our last workout before they get a few days off before fall camp, and we'll have those guys vote at that point. So it's coming soon.
Okay.
We got a lot of guys that could wear it.
Yeah.
There's a certain school on the other side of your state that's making a lot of noise lately. How does SMU be louder than them?
Which school? There's a lot that make noise.
They're over in Lubbock.
Oh, love it. Well,
Yeah.
Joey's great. Cody's great. All those guys are great. I'm not trying to be the loudest. You know, John Wayne said it best, right? Walk slow, talk low, and carry a big stick. We're not trying to be the loudest. We are trying to tell our story. We're trying to promote our players. We got to go do the work. And if we don't, we don't. But, you know, I think Joey is great for the game. I think what they're trying to do is the best they can for Texas Tech. So I don't have any problems with what they do. But I'm also not trying to compete to be the loudest. You know, we're trying to be the best we can be. What gives SMU the chance to be? We've been really good. We've been 31-10 in the last 3 years. You know, we've won the 8th most games of anybody in America in the last 3 years. So the reality is we're a top 10 team. The narrative won't tell you that, right? But we can't be satisfied with good. We're demanding more. We want to be great, and that's my focus. And if you've got to be loud to do it, great. And if you don't, that's fine too.
Rhett, I mean, so much is about money now in college football. And,
Yeah.
I mean, do schools need, you know, a Mark Cuban like in Indiana, and Cody Campbell, you know, like how these guys are giving big money? I mean, do you need that to win?
I don't know if you need one person, but you definitely need the resources. I mean, it's kind of what I said in there. We have great alignment at SMU. From our president, board, AD, our university partners on down, we're all marching in the same direction. That's hard to do. But I think more than ever, you know, you've always had people preach that, and they could probably hide it if they weren't. You can't anymore. Because if you're not aligned and you're not investing, it's going to show up real quick. And so, you know, whether it's one guy, you know, what David Miller's done leading our renaissance has been great, but it hadn't just been him. He'll tell you it's Bill Armstrong and all these other guys that give so much, and Rich Templeton and Kyle Miller and Tucker Bridwell, and I could go on and on and on. So whether it's one guy or a group of guys, you better invest. You better have the resources, because if you do, you got a chance, and if you don't, you don't have a chance.
Coach, a lot of people want to abolish the preseason poll because it seems unfair to the ACC and biased. What would your stance be on that in general?
Well, I don't know as much about the AP poll since it's voted on. I vote in the coaches poll. The FBI is definitely biased, right? Like, how do you have an FBI and no one's played a game? How do you know who has the hardest schedule this year? Well, how the freak do we know? Nobody's played anybody, right? Like, we don't know who number 1 is and number 30 to measure is it a hard game or not. Like, but here's what I do. I get why we do it. Because when we play week 1 in Tallahassee, they love to have rankings up there. It creates publicity, it creates excitement. Everybody loves polls, everybody loves rankings. So that in and of itself is fine. But the challenge is there's a reality. Just like the reason we're promoting Kevin. If you're not looked at as a Heisman contender going into the year, it's way harder to get there. Well, if you don't start the season ranked in the top 25, it's way harder to get there. Because by the time those polls come out week 8, it's almost in cement. Are you in or out? Because now it matters. And so in a perfect world, which we don't have and never will, you play 2 or 3 non-conference games, and then somewhere around week 3 or 4, let's have a poll. You know, or as conference season starts or whatnot. But because now you've had interconference games, you've seen teams enough to have a genuine opinion. Like even I'm going to have to rank a coach's poll. I'm just guessing on what I think. I don't know. In week 5, I'll have a totally different opinion. And that's fine, except they do shape the narratives at the end. And that's what I've said all along. If polls would be great if we had a qualifying system, not a selecting system. But we select teams. No other major sport industry does that, pro or high school. They just don't. They don't select. You earn your way in. And if you earned your way in, that'd be cool. Because now it just creates excitement. But since it sets the tone later for a selection that could be influenced, it does make it a challenge.
You mentioned the alignment and all the things that have come for SMU from the resources perspective. What's next? How did those conversations go with the school? And obviously, I'm sure last November was a big part of it.
There's a, what was the last part of that?
Like, when you agreed to a contract extension, all those things.
What's next is I think we have a group that is aligned that we want to enhance and grow the overall university. What's best for the university? We have a lot of momentum at our school. In order to do that, athletics needs to be successful. It's a marketing arm for the school, and football is very visible. And so there's a commitment to what do we need to do to be successful? What do we need to do to compete in the ACC at the highest level, compete on the national scene at the highest level, whether it's coaches' salaries, revenue share, pools, facilities. I know it's no secret Damon's really looking at how we can renovate our stadium and make it really even better, right? And so, because we've got a great atmosphere now, but how do we make the stadium better for our fans and our players? I don't think there's like a limit. I think it's ongoing. It's just they're going to kind of be looking week to week, month to month, year to year. What do we need to do to continue to position ourselves in a space where we can compete at the highest level for championships?
Coach, why did you bring those 3 players, and can you say a few words about each one, if you would?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great question. I have no idea why we brought Kevin. Somebody made us. But no, Kevin's great. PJ has been with us 3 years. He's been loyal. He's a senior. So we brought 2 seniors. I think PJ's a first, second round pick. Needs to stay healthy to do that. And then, last year we brought Alex Kilgore. Alex Kilgore is one of our unquestioned leaders. Brought him as a junior. He's a senior. Could have brought him back, but Brandon Booker's someone who stepped up last year, and he, along with Alex and Brandon Miazano and some other veterans, is going to anchor our defense at that linebacker core. And I think Brandon's poised to have a breakout year. So every year's different, but we've kind of like bringing our quarterback, one offensive player, one defensive player. And if we can bring seniors, we will. But sometimes we'll bring a junior that we feel like will represent us well.
Coach, the budget was spent on those 3 hats. That's why you don't have one.
Correct. They didn't buy me one. Yeah.
A schedule question.
Interesting hat.
Not many of those here. No TCU this year.
Yeah.
What's the status of that? Is it going to come back in the coming years?
TCU chose to not play us. They made that choice 2 years ago. We had a reoccurring 4-year deal, and so you'd have to ask them.
Okay.
Do I think it'll never come back? No, it'll probably come back. I mean, it's been played over 100 times. There's a lot of challenges in football now, 9-game schedules and whatnot. But they made that decision in 24, right about the time we came to the ACC. And it's you got to be in agreement. So once they did, we respect their decision, and while I think a lot of people think that game should happen, maybe it will again someday. Things go through cycles, and right now, what we've tried to do now is position our non-conference schedule to be the best in the country. We're playing at Notre Dame this year. Next year, we're playing Oklahoma. Week 2 at AT&T Stadium. 28-29, we have a home-and-home with LSU. And so once they chose to end the series for the foreseeable future, we went out and said, let's start getting some national brands that give us a chance to play on the big stage.
Thank you.
Let's let him finish. Go ahead. I got you.
Has NIL changed your recruiting map in terms of, do you go farther out? Do you stay more at home?
Not a ton. I mean, we're still pretty inside out. I mean, Dallas, Texas. We'll still stray some for unique reasons. It's not as much NIL. I do think probably in the transfer world, you see that more. But for us, there's still great players close. And NIL and the rev share is still a big part of who gets who and keeps who. But I don't know if it necessarily has changed our map.
Yeah, you guys got tough recruiting.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.